view foreign policy to be the main responsibility only of ministers. As I demonstrate in the book, I strongly feel that it's not just the Prime Minister, Chok Tong, Georgios. I mean, they have, tremendous respect abroad. And he doesn't need the title of for people to seek out his views. They'll still seek out his views. Leaders are an important factor. But I think it's the quality and caliber of everybody else who collectively create an impression and perception of Singapore. So I think the ambassadors, clearly, we have had very good ambassadors. But it's not just the ambassadors. Some of our young foreign service officers are excellent. And other ambassadors, for example, in climate change, some of the other ministers come up to me and tell me, look, this particular officer, is not even an ambassador. It's very impressive, and so on. So it's important to recruit high caliber officers. Having said that, I would not stop just at the officialdom or perm sax ministers. The quality of even of your private sector is also important. How they carry themselves. And even via NGOs. I mean, when Mercy Relief goes to Indonesia or goes to other disaster-stricken areas, the doctors, the volunteers, are actually carrying the torch for Singapore. Okay. So, at the end of the day, from Prime Minister, ministers, diplomats, everybody else has a role to play in the overall perception that others have of Singapore. Don't take it as a given that we'll always be able to play a relevant role in regional and international affairs. We have to continue to get good people. We have to continue to be successful and competitive. We have continued to get everybody to pull together as a team. Pulling together as a team is the third factor, which I think is important, that different ministries don't go in different directions. The FTA stories are a very good example, excellent examples of how economic agencies, MFA, everybody got together and realized that, look, this is important, let's work together, let's look at our policies and have a common stand. Okay. There are several stories because it's very difficult to say one theme, but I think if you push me to give one theme, it is that a small country can have a voice to be heard in the region and in international forums. But that depends on several factors. It's not automatic. In fact, you have to work very hard at it because the world is dominated by bigger countries. Everybody is different. I mean, I'm different from Giorgio. Giorgio is different from Shanmugam. You are different from Raja, but everybody brings, I think, something to the table, his own style. My style is different from George, but at the end of the day, you work as a team. However good a minister you are, if you do not have a really good team who can assist you and who are reading from the same page. It's very difficult. I mean, I tell a story about FTA with Japan and United States. PM and the ministers played a role, but you can see how officials played a role, Ambassador Chu Tai-su, and FTAs. So it's a bit of a complicated answer to your question. Yeah. I wish there was not a simple answer. I think in international diplomacy, whatever the technology that has taken place, the personal touch has to be there. You have to meet the person, you have to shake the hand, look at each other in the eye, and the comfort level. He trusts you, you trust him. When you say something in confidence, I mean, the example I gave on the extradition agreement, where Alatas and I sat one night in a Japanese restaurant and said, look, our leaders have entrusted us, we know each other so well. If both of us cannot make a breakthrough, I don't think anybody else. He said, Jaya, you're right. You know? So we sat down, we worked out, okay, this is where I can give on extradition, where can you move on defense cooperation. And we worked out a 2-column piece, and the officials were very surprised. If he was advancing his national interests, making sure his bottom lines were not crossed, I was making sure that what I could give, would still protect Singapore's interests. I think that's a give and take, which would not have been possible. It was not possible at the officials' level. But both of us were able to do that. Had we not known each other on a personal level, I don't think we would. So at the personal level, it's very important. So when you see all the ministers and prime ministers traveling a lot, they're actually doing a great salesmanship for Singapore. And I think it's a necessary part of the work. Oh, my recreational? Yes. Well, I try to keep fit through gym work. Occasionally, I rollerblade with my daughter, grown-up daughter. And I've started a new sport for about 6 or 7 months, which is Japanese Kendo, where I have 3 instructors. And I'm also a patron of the Singapore Kendo Club. So that's my newfound activity, which I find useful for balance and improving my reflexes. Oh, it's a long story because I got interested when I watched National Geographic documentary on Kendo, where a 76-year-old man was very adept in Kendo practice with younger people. So I told myself that, well, that seems to be good for balance and reflexes, and maybe I should try it. So one thing led to another, and the Japanese ambassador put me on to somebody who put me to an instructor. So that person plus the ASEAN Women's champion, who was a Singaporean, plus the president of the Kendo Club, 3 of them kindly assist me in Kendo practice.